Chapter 1: The Crimson Abyss. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of sulfur and ash, as the lone warrior stepped into the heart of the abyss. A crimson haze lingered like a poison in the shadows, illuminated by the eerie glow of twisted molten rock. His armor, black as the void itself, gleamed under the faint light, reflecting the distant embers of some ancient fire. His cape billowed behind him, dragging the weight of countless battles fought, countless enemies slain. But tonight it felt different. Ahead of him, figures stirred in the mist. Not human, not creatures of the earth. Something else, something primal, born from the darkest corners of nightmares. The blade in his hand pulsed with an unholy red light, humming with energy. He could feel it as if it were alive, calling to the shadowy entities that slithered and stalked just beyond his vision. He knew they were watching, waiting. Oh, this is it, he thought, tightening his grip on the sword. His heart thudded in his chest, but his face, hidden beneath his dark helm, remained impassive. There would be no fear, not tonight. As the mist parted, they emerged. 3 of them towering figures cloaked in shadows, their bodies twisted and malformed, skin made of molten stone and eyes burning with infernal hatred. The largest of them, standing in the center, extended a clawed hand toward him, the air around it sizzling from the heat. Its voice rumbled, deep and malevolent. "Welcome to the end, mortal," it hissed. "You've come far, but this is where your journey dies." The warrior didn't answer immediately. His gaze swept across the 3 beasts, calculating. They radiated power, ancient, forbidden power, but he wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Breathe. He reminded himself as he inhaled the choking air. Stay calm. "I've come for more than just the journey," he finally replied, his voice a cold, steady rasp beneath his helm. "I've come to end you." The center demon let out a booming laugh, its red eyes narrowing into slits. "You think you can slay us, mortal? The darkness is eternal. We have ruled these lands since before time began, and we will continue long after your bones have turned to dust." But the warrior remained unmoved. "You'll be surprised how quickly eternity crumbles." With a swift motion, he raised his sword high, the crimson light flaring to life as it met the dark sky. His enemies growled in response, muscles tensing as they prepared to strike. The battle was imminent. Chapter 2: The Descent. The first demon lunged at him, its body a blur of shadow and flame. It moved faster than he expected, a flash of molten claws aimed for his throat. But the warrior was ready. He twisted his body, sidestepping the blow with precision, and brought his blade down in a wide arc. The crimson sword sliced through the demon's arm with a sickening crack, the limb falling to the ground in a heap of smoldering ash. The creature let out a guttural roar of pain but didn't retreat. Its remaining arm lashed out, and this time the warrior couldn't dodge fast enough. A searing pain shot through his side as the claws grazed his armor, sparks flying where they met steel. He staggered but didn't fall. His mind was sharp, focused. Ignore the pain. Focus on the kill. Without missing a beat, he drove the blade upward into the demon's chest. The creature's roar choked into a strangled gasp as the sword's crimson light flared brighter, consuming the beast from within. It collapsed into a heap of burning embers. But there was no time to savor the victory. The second demon was already upon him, its hulking form towering over him like a living mountain of flame and fury. Its eyes glowed with malice as it swung its massive fists, intent on crushing him into the earth. The warrior ducked and rolled, narrowly avoiding the crushing blow. The ground beneath him cracked from the impact, sending shards of rock flying in all directions. He spun around, bringing his sword up to parry the next strike. The force of the blow sent shock waves through his arms, but he held firm. The demon snarled, its molten breath burning his skin even through the armor. With a roar, it lunged again, but this time the warrior was ready. He dropped low, slicing through the demon's leg with a powerful, precise strike. The beast howled in agony, collapsing to its knees. Before it could recover, the warrior thrust his sword into the back of its skull, twisting the blade as the demon's body convulsed violently. The crimson light flared once more, devouring the beast as it turned to ash. 2 down. But as he turned to face the final demon, the largest and most terrifying of them all, he felt a creeping dread claw at his heart. This one had not moved, had not attacked. It stood, watching him with a patience that felt unnatural for a creature of its kind. Waiting, he realized. It had been waiting for him to tire, waiting for him to grow weaker. And now, it was ready. Chapter 3: The Last Shadow. The final demon stepped forward, its presence suffocating the air around them. It was larger than the others, its form more solid, more real. Its molten skin was etched with ancient runes, glowing with dark power. Its eyes blazed with a fury that shook the very earth beneath the warrior's feet. "You are strong," it growled, its voice like the rumbling of a distant storm. "But strength alone will not save you." The warrior gripped his sword tighter, his knuckles white beneath his gauntlets. "Strength is all I need." The demon's laugh was a low, menacing sound. "Then you will die like all the others." Without warning, it charged, faster than any creature its size should have been able to move. The ground trembled beneath its feet, and the air around it warped with heat and power. The warrior braced himself, raising his sword to meet the attack. Their blades clashed his crimson sword against the demon's molten claws, and the force of the impact sent a shockwave through the battlefield. For a moment they were locked together, the warrior's strength pitted against the demon's raw, ancient power. But he could feel himself slipping. The demon was stronger than he had anticipated, its power overwhelming. His muscles burned, his bones ached. Sweat poured down his face beneath his helm. No, not like this. With a sudden surge of adrenaline, the warrior pushed back, breaking free of the demon's grip. He spun, slashing at the beast's side, but the demon was ready. Its claws raked across his chest, tearing through his armor and sending him crashing to the ground. He gasped, pain ripping through his body. The world blurred around him, the edges of his vision darkening. "Your end has come," the demon snarled, standing over him, its molten claws raised for the final blow. But even as the darkness closed in, the warrior's hand tightened around his sword. The blade pulsed, its crimson light flaring brighter than ever before. "I am not finished." With a roar of defiance, he thrust the sword upward, driving the blade deep into the demon's chest. The creature screamed, its body convulsing as the crimson light consumed it from within, burning away its dark power. The demon writhed and twisted, but it was too late. In a final, blinding flash of light, the demon exploded into a storm of ash and embers. The warrior lay still for a moment, breathing heavily, his body broken and battered. But as the last of the ash settled around him, he slowly pushed himself to his feet. His sword, still glowing with crimson light, hung heavy in his hand. The abyss was silent. For now, the darkness had been defeated. But deep down, he knew it was not the end. It never was. The end.